Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to take a quick look at another phone I just picked up. This is the Samsung Galaxy S8 Active, and this is a phone that you can pick up right now online for like $200 or less, and I think it's a really good deal at that price point. I actually got this on eBay for like 150 bucks, and I think it's still really good. I know it's 2 years old, so it's definitely not a new phone or anything, but given the specs that it came out with at the time, which were like flagship specs, right? It had a Snapdragon 835 processor, which I think is still fast enough for today's tasks. And the camera is still pretty good for the time. You know, it's still one of the best cameras of its time. It's probably just below the iPhone 10 and the Pixel 2 from that year. But next to them, I mean, this camera is almost as good. And the fact that you can pick it up so cheap on eBay right now, like I picked it up for 150. Like this phone, 150. Can you believe that? And it's the S8 Active, which is the military standard A10G tested version. It means it's water resistant, IP68, dust proof, shock proof, all that good stuff. You can find it in this phone. It's basically an S8, but with a built-in case so that it protects it. So it's a much more durable, much more rugged phone. And I think this is a really, really good all-around pickup for people who are on a budget right now. So, all the new phones when they come out, they cost like at least $700 for the iPhone 11, right? And the flagship phones like the iPhone 11 Pro and the Samsung Galaxy S10, they all cost like $1,000, right? To be able to find this phone for one-fifth of the price, just $200 online, like I think that's a really good deal. So I'm gonna tell you why this is probably the best all-around phone from 2017, 2 years ago, because first of all, this display, the 5.8 inches, I feel is it's a good size, and it's not too big. Like these days, the phones are all super tall, right? Which makes it kind of hard to put in your pocket, and if it's too wide, then it's also hard to hold, right? This phone is good enough, I feel. The only problem is this Bixby button on the side. This was one of Samsung's mistakes, is that they gave us too many ways to access Bixby, and Bixby is not really as good as Google Assistant or Siri, or any of those assistants. So a lot of people got annoyed at that. The second problem is the fingerprint sensor is on the side of the camera here. So that was another common complaint about the S8. And then the next revision, the S9, they actually moved it down there, which was better. But still, I think I know the fingerprint sensor is not the best on the S8, but I actually still use the pin a lot. So yeah, the fingerprint sensor is okay, but yeah, it's not the best placement. But the good things about it, right? The pros of this phone. First of all, the Super AMOLED display, super vibrant, really good size, 5.8 inches. Not a lot of bezel. I mean, it does have some bezels, not too much though. So it's an 18:9 display. Again, great for watching movies and videos and stuff like that. I don't like the mono speaker. I really wish they had stereo speakers, but in place of the other stereo speaker, you have a headphone jack. So I think I'd much rather have a headphone jack, right? These days, even Samsung doesn't have headphone jacks anymore. You have to use Bluetooth, which is really inconvenience for those of us who still rely on our trusty wired headphones. Headphone jack, it's good to have. USB-C, again, that's a standard. Um, so works with pretty much all your current chargers. And this camera, again, like I said, the third best camera of 2017 probably. Still takes really good pictures. And yeah, the all-around ruggedness of this phone, the fact that it's IP68, and you can just drop it. I think you can look up videos where this was dropped at least 5 feet and it survived because this phone is so rugged and durable. And micro SD card slot as well, so you can fit up to, I don't know, 512 gigabytes in here. So there's some just really good all-around aspects about this phone that make it a great pickup, right? So there are, of course, some cons about this phone, which I just listed, but those are all fairly minor cons, I think. The pros of this phone, again, the great display, micro SD, headphone jack, rugged and durable, good battery life, by the way. This has, was it 4,000 milliamp amp hour battery? I think the Active actually has a little bit more battery than the regular S8. So really good battery optimization and lasts for quite a bit, I think. So this is a really, really good pickup for those of you who are on a budget. Again, you can find this $200 on eBay. I think I paid less for mine. I paid only 150 for mine because mine is a little bit more scratched up. But you can probably find a good condition one on eBay for about 200 bucks, which I think is a steal for a phone of this caliber. And it may not have the flagship 2019 specs, but it's still good enough. Snapdragon 835 still speedy enough for today's tasks. Um, Again, this always on display is really nice. The one thing I don't like is the Samsung UI. So this UI thing, the TouchWiz or whatever they call it now, I'm not too used to it because I used Google Pixels and Sony Xperias for such a long time that I'm used to the stock Android layout. So, like for example, this menu button being on this side instead of this side, that's something I have to get used to. There's no home button anymore. This was the revision that they removed the home button, but we're all pretty much used to that since the iPhone 10 came out, right? And yeah, it's just some things you got to get used to. Again, like I actually don't own any other Samsung Galaxy phones. This is actually my first one. So, yeah, I never owned any of the S series until this one. So, that's why it takes me a while to get used to. But those of you who have used Samsung Galaxy phones before obviously don't have any problems with this. I'm just coming from a Pixel or an Xperia, which have a more stock Android experience. But yeah, other than that, it's a really good phone. It's upgraded to Android 9. I don't think that they'll upgrade to Android 10, but Android 9 is still good enough, right? You don't need to be on the latest and greatest right now. And it's pretty much up to date. Again, let's compare it to some of the best phones from 2017. I have most of them here except for the iPhone 10. So I have the Essential phone. This is still one of my favorite designs. This was the first bezel-less phone that ever came out, and it's still one of the best designs I feel. It's just so clean, so simple looking, and like the notch here is just so small, right? A lot of phones messed up this notch, where the Essential phone got it right on the first try. And this is the only model they ever came out with, the PH1. Unfortunately, they went out of business, but they still updated. Like they updated it all the way up to Android 10, which is actually a newer version than the S8 Active, which is surprising, right? That's the latest version of Android. So I'm surprised how long they supported this phone, all the way until the latest Android. But yeah, compared to the S8 Active, it's not as durable, not as rugged, not IP68. If you drop it from 5 meters, not sure if it's going to take that fall like the S8 Active will. I like the placement of the fingerprint sensor here. They got that right the first time. The camera, they definitely improved a lot, but still not up to the S8 Active standards. No headphone jack, no micro SD card slot, and the screen is an IPS, not an AMOLED. So those are the downfalls compared to the S8 Active. Next, we'll take a look the Pixel 2, right? One of the most popular phones, Android phones at least that year. This has an AMOLED display, again, pretty good, and it's a good size as well. The camera is also really good. Probably the best camera or the second best camera in 2017, right next to the iPhone 10, I would say, and better than the S8 Active, I would say, this camera. But again, it lacks the micro SD card slot, only IP67, not IP68, not military standard tested. It's not going to be as rugged as this one, and no headphone jack as well. So no expandable storage or headphone jack, but the camera is really really good, and this is probably one of the better Android phones that you can get that year. This was actually my main phone until just a few weeks ago when I switched to the iPhone 11 Pro. So yeah, this is a good phone, but as an all-around phone, I think the S8 Active still beats it. And then I have the XC1 Compact, the Sony Xperia XC1 Compact, and this one I kept for a long time because it was the best small phone out there for such a long time. I know I had the iPhone SE, right? But after the iPhone SE, not many people made good small phones. So you have the XC1 Compact, you have the XC2 Compact, but that one got rid of the headphone jack. This one still has a headphone jack. The camera is not as good as the cameras on any of these, by the way. I don't know why Sony just can't seem to make cameras on their smartphones very well, even though they make really great standalone cameras. They just can't seem to make it really good on the smartphones. Seems like other companies just do it better in software. And USB-C, right? All these phones are using USB-C. So I think by 2017, most of the flagship phones switched over to USB-C. Micro SD card slot, which is good. Expandable storage. Even has a camera shutter button right here. Fingerprint sensor on the side. Again, that's a really good placement compared to these ones. Yeah, but the problem with this one is, well, first of all, this camera's better than this one. Right? I don't know why Sony made the cameras much better. You know, there will be a much better opportunity for it to take the lead, but they don't. Also, for this one, I'm using it to watch a lot of movies and video, and obviously having the brighter AMOLED display and bigger display helps. This one's only an IPS, no AMOLED, and it's a good small phone to use, right? but for watching movies and videos, obviously a bigger screen is better. So that's the main reason why. Yeah, this one's also not as rugged. This is the only one that's fully kind of rugged, you know. But yeah, that's it. Comparing to the other flagship phones of 2017 and the iPhone 10 as well. But as you guys all know, Apple usually doesn't put expandable storage or a headphone jack on their iPhones now. So that one also loses compared to the S8 Active, right? So the S8 Active has everything basically at a good price. So I think it's one of the best budget phones to pick up. Good reliability, durability, fully water resistant, headphone jack, micro SD, AMOLED display. It has pretty much everything. So if you're looking for a good budget phone to pick up the Samsung Galaxy S8 Active. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys.